right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our community show hosted by Center for Constitutional Governance. Tonight, we're having a very interesting conversation, a topic that is pertinent to so many Ugandans and to so many other people, and that is the issue of land conflicts and the challenges that have been happening. As many of you are aware, the recent events and a couple of things that are happening in Acholi and other parts of Uganda have ignited this conversation, and many people have questions and many people are wondering. So tonight in our community show, we're hosting very, very able Ugandans that are going to, be with us and have this discussion and suggest way forwards and just share ideas on what we as Ugandans, our leaders and community can do together to address this challenge. Tonight we have Mr. Sam Orikunda, who is the Deputy RDC of Sheema District, is joining us as well from Western Uganda. And then we have Mr. Sam Okadapau, who is a project officer from Mblae District, and other people that will be joining us as well. Let me just give a minute or two to our speakers tonight to introduce themselves and just tell us a few things about themselves. Let me start right away with Simon. Simon, you're welcome to introduce yourself to our audience and to greet them and say a few things of introduction about yourself. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, regards to you and the viewers. Like you mentioned, I'm Simon Peter Okadapau. I work with the Center for Constitutional Governance based in Mblae. Right now, we are running a project that is called Voice, and it is sponsored by, funded by Oxfam. So I'm the project officer there. Thank you, and I look forward to a grateful deliberations.
Thank you very much, Simon. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, we're looking forward to having this discussion with you. Let me welcome Sam to introduce himself as well and say a few remarks about himself. Sam, you're welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Orikunda. I am the Deputy RDC for Sheema District, located in the western part of the country. I am happy to join you and looking forward to discussing with you this important topic.
Thank you very much, Sam. And of course, I'm your host, Frank Uche. I'm leading the discussion today with a team of the panelists that have already introduced themselves. Let me start with Simon to just share with us, in your view, the current situation regarding land conflicts in Uganda. A very basic overview of what is happening, of the status of this particular conflict.
Yeah, once again, thank you very much for giving me this platform to share my views and on the issues regarding land conflicts in Uganda. And in my view, land conflicts are really escalating every day. And now the population is growing every day, and I think that's why the issues that's the reason why issues of land conflicts is rising up every day. Particularly in Mblae City, where I implemented the Voice project, one of the key thematic areas of the project is that the resolve of land conflicts within the city. And I must report that Mblae City has a lot of challenges. There are very many reports, there are very many cases that have been reported of land conflicts, whereby especially those people who are in big positions, marginalized, take advantage of those who are not able. You find that in Mblae City, especially maybe the political leadership, and then also there are some people who have overstayed in Mblae and they have made their names and they feel they are the big people within Mblae, you find that with the time, they always take advantage of the people who are not able, first of all, to speak out for themselves. So once that happens, they always go, especially to villages, they take advantage of widows, they take advantage of orphans, they take advantage of people who are not able to speak for themselves. So the situation in Mblae is really appalling. And us as the Center for Constitutional Governance and the Voice Project, we have conducted meetings and with different leaderships of Mblae City and the right holders, and we have tried to mitigate, to intervene, to solve land conflicts. And then also internally in homes, there are also land conflicts among beneficiaries within homes, especially where you find that maybe where you find that maybe the father, the head of the home is late, and they leave children, widows, advantage of other children. Or if in case a man maybe had two wives and passed on, you find that the children of the first woman want to marginalize other children, want to grab their land. So for us, as Center for Constitutional Governance, we have always tried to intervene. We've conducted meetings, and I must report that our intervention as Center for Constitutional Governance has tried to reduce cases of land grabbing. But of course, this is a very, very big issue that cannot be solved by Center for Constitutional Governance alone. We have also met the land committees at district levels to always try to intervene to solve some of these issues. Last year.
Sam, just a minute there. We are going to dwell into the facts, and we're going to look at some of the steps that that civil society organizations like CCG and other community leaders are doing. But for now, I want to thank you for giving us the overview of what you think is the status of land conflict in Uganda. And of course, you quite ably stated about the escalating situation in Mblae and other surrounding areas. And then I will come back to you, Simon, shortly. But let me just welcome Sam on board to just highlight what he thinks is the status, at least in Western Uganda, or in particular Sheema District, where is the deputy RDC. So Sam, maybe you could just come on board and give us an overview, highlight of the status of the land conflict and even land grabbing, particularly in Western Uganda, where you're very familiar with. You're welcome, Sam.
Thank you so much, moderator. I have had the privilege or an opportunity of serving in more than 2 districts, and both located in Western Uganda. And interestingly, all those districts have found the issue of land is a serious problem. Sometimes I have been seeing people saying that the problem of land is only in Uganda, but even here in Western Uganda, the issues of land conflicts is a big challenge. We have lost people. So many, most people have died because of that problem. A lot of property has been destroyed, caused by land conflict, and a number of things that have happened. So I want to agree with what the previous speaker has said, that it is escalating. It's a big challenge that we surely need to give attention to, and if there's something that we can do, we surely do it. Now, the problem begins from these absentee landlords. Someone buys 60 acres of land and goes to the US. Others others are in Kampala, but they have different chunks of land. They have chunks of land up country. Now, when people, I actually even saw the Minister of Lands talking about it in the news recently. And I think I want to agree with her, because in every district where I've been and where there are issues of land, you find someone has a plot of land which has not been developed for many years. And when people realize that the place is free, they now go and start cultivating. By the time the person gets to know about it, the land has been grabbed. And that's why you hear people talk of chasing people away. Even this issue of the police, which has been in the media, people have been on the land for all those years and the police has been around. What did they do about it? They knew that the land belonged to them. Why didn't they do any developments of the land to stop people from putting the houses there and eventually making the place their homes? So it is a serious problem. The people, the absentee landlords, they are giving us hard time in as far as land grabbing and land conflict is concerned.
Thank you.
Also, there is another problem of the court, where Ugandans think that they can get solution is in the courts of law. But it is a very big challenge that you find someone reports a case in the court, it spends like 7 or more years without being concluded. So nowadays, people have lost hopes in the courts. The only place where they know they can get quick solution in the office of the RDC. And that is why you have been seeing most of those RDCs landing into trouble. Because any problem that and those cases used to begin from the courts of LC3, then the magistrate, then the high court when issues can't be solved from the lower courts. But nowadays, and you've been hearing the Chief Justice talking about it, the backlogs in the courts of law, it is too much. It is making people uncomfortable. It is making people fight each other, because now when I have an issue on my land, or someone is trying to grab my land or maybe mistreat me on my land, I need a quick solution, because if it is not quick, then the person will end up putting permanent structures there, and now it becomes a different case, and it becomes even difficult to handle when it delays. Also, that rotates on the problem of corruption. People, someone wants to grab the land, wants to steal. What they will do is to go and buy off the people in charge so that they can delay the case. And the more they delay is the more they will take advantage of that period, and they keep putting permanent structures. And by the time you get to know, land has been grabbed. So it is a very serious problem caused by a number of issues that we could be having what to do about, or some of which is historical. Some of the problems are actually historical, are caused by how we handled the matters a long time ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam, for your overview. Of course, I know you did have a stretch and looked into a few things that is causing it. But one thing that both our speakers agree on is that it's an escalating situation. It's getting very serious, and it needs our attention and focus on how we can make sure that these issues are addressed. And again, I'm going to stay with you a little bit, Sam, before I get back to Simon, because you have already started chatting a little bit on some of the factors that are causing these land conflicts and rather also land grabbing. So maybe I will just ask you to come back again and just highlight what are some of the things that you believe are the factors that are causing, an escalating land conflicts in Uganda. From your experience as the RDC in different districts, of course, I also believe that you have been following the issues that are happening in Acholi, issues that are happening within Buganda, and other things that are happening in Mblae. Quite a number of these issues in different parts of the country. So could you in a minute or two just highlight what, in your opinion, you think have been some of the factors or the reasons that are causing land conflicts and land grabbing, whether within the family setting or within the district setting, or even at national level and regional level as well. So please, Sam, you're welcome to highlight on that.
Thank you so much. Now, I think, of course, at the community level, these people who have 1 acre of land, less than an acre, one of the causes is the population pressure. The population is on increase, and yet the land is not increasing. This is a very big challenge. And you know what the president has been talking about of the land fragmentation. When a child reaches 18 years, he wants his own portion so that he can build his own house. So when a man has less than an acre and has about 8 children or more, I mean, dividing that land becomes difficult for him, even when he's supposed to remain with some portion of land also to take care of him. And that's how the quarrels, the fights begin. So the issue of population, I think, has led to the increase of land conflict in the country. Then another issue is the way we like, for instance, I was told that in some countries land belongs to the government. You as an individual, you can do your development, but land does not belong to you. But you know, here in Uganda, people own the land as individuals. They have the land titles and the land belongs to them. So that one has also escalated because someone knows that his asset and his fortune is on that land. Most people have invested on the land. The money they make through day-to-day business, the money they get, they go and buy land. So I think the issue of saying that the land should belong to the citizen has also escalated this issue. And also the poverty levels. Poverty is increasing in different communities, and people think that where they can get money is through sale of land, and that is how the children end up, wanting to have their share, sell it, go buy borders, and start hustling or looking for money. So those are some of the issues, the factors that I think have escalated this issue of the land conflict, and now it is on its extreme.
Thank you very much, Sam, for highlighting some of the factors that you think have really led to increased land conflicts in Uganda. I also believe that early on you had hinted on other issues like our delayed court cases, where maybe families or communities have taken their cases to court and then it's taking 5 or 10 years. So at the end of the day, people just want to say they're looking for shorter ways, quick ways to resolve these conflicts without necessarily, waiting for courts to decide because the cases are delayed. And of course, some of these quick ways can end up causing issues like murder, and other community conflicts that are happening. So that is very important. And also just as a reminder, at the beginning, Simon also had noted the issue of family and how some of these are actually coming from family within, because I think most time the ones that catch the attention of the national people is when it's a community issue like what is happening in Acholi. But we also have a lot of actually family conflicts, brother, sister, uncle, and all that, and those family settings where individual family members are having very serious conflict with each other. And so thank you very much, Sam, for highlighting that. Someone, I want to get back to you and just welcome you back to maybe in a short time, just share with us what has been happening within your local area and what have the communities in Mblae faced as a result of either land grabbing or either increased land conflicts? What are some of the things that communities have had to deal with as a result of land conflicts, as a result of land grabbing, from what you have seen in Eastern Uganda? Simon, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. Maybe before I proceed with that section, I would also want to chip in one of the causes of one land conflicts within the city and Uganda as a whole. One of them is the greed. There are people who are just not satisfied with what they have. You find that even people who have a lot of land, will still want to grab land from people who don't have. So one of the issues to add on is greed. And then one of the key issues, I mean, you said that the steps that, the impact that people are facing in Mblae.
Yes, the impact, yes, the impact or the challenges that communities have had to deal with as a result of land conflict and land grabbing in your area.
Yeah, one of them is displacement. You know, of course, like we are talking about the house and they don't house. You find that people who are able, like I said before, take advantage of these people. And you know, also the court, the systems in Uganda have become so rotten. To an extent, even if they take the land matter to courts of law, you will find that these people who are who have money bribe courts of law, and then they win cases against these people who don't have land, I mean money. So at the end of the day, these people are displaced from their land. And it has also increased the cases of deaths, whereby if the other family feels, or the other party feels that they have been marginalized and have been pushed to the wall, they always go ahead in order to revenge, to kill the other person or the other parties. And then also the issues that I don't believe in witchcraft, but it has also land conflicts. We are traditional people, and when we were growing up, we had the cases of witchcraft. There are those who say that witchcraft works. There are those who say witchcraft doesn't work. So it has also increased the cases of witchcraft within the city and other parts of the country. Yeah, that is my submission in that regard.
Thank you very much, Simon. Of course, you've noted displacement when, you know, as you clearly said, when people are settled and then, you know, either their land is taken away or they are told to move to another place. Some of them end up being homeless and have nowhere to stay. And maybe in a way they will also go to some other place to try to look for a land that is not being used. And then at the end of the day, the circle just increases. I am displaced from here. I maybe go to Simon's land and also try to use this land. Some at the Deputy RDC had earlier noted, especially for people that buy land and then they go abroad. So you find someone is living in America, they have 60 acres and there's no one there. So definitely, if I'm displaced, I will have no option but to go to a land that is not being used. And the cycle will continue like that. So thank you very much for highlighting some of those challenges. It ended up causing issues of death within communities and even a bigger issue at the end of the day, you know, high crime rates and all that as a result of this. So thank you very much, Simon, for highlighting that. I am going to have Sam, the Deputy RDC of Sheema, to get back and maybe let's have a short conversation on our traditional land ownership system, where, you know, in other places, let's say for example in northern Uganda, you know, land is communally owned. You almost don't have an individual owning land, or you have systems where land belongs to the clan. In other areas where, you know, your father got it from your grandfather and then gives you a portion, and even you have to keep it for your children and something like that. Then you have in Uganda system where the land belongs to the Kabaka, and you know, you rent it out for a specific period of time, and all that. And of course, then we also have the other system where, you know, the white people kind of system, the Bazungu system, where, you know, you own the land, is registered in your name, and you own it forever. So in different parts of Uganda, there are different system of land ownership. And so I just want you, Sam, to have a quick conversation on how you think some of these different systems have also led to increased land conflicts, or even increased land grabbing in Uganda, the different systems in different parts of the country. How have these systems actually, you know, helped in escalating land conflicts in Uganda?
Frank, I will speak about the land system of Western Uganda where I am. I think I am not well conversant with all these other places where I've not been to. But I can assure you, like here in Western Uganda, where someone gets land from the grandfather, then the grandfather gives, you know, that hereditary kind of thing. I think it is chaotic. It's not a good way. It wasn't a good way of handling that thing, that issue of land, because it becomes life and death. Someone knows that this portion of land belongs to me. If I lose it, my life is gone. It is where my family is. It is where I see my future, everything. And it is really bad. And you know, even to make what matters worse, like here in Western Uganda, the tradition was saying that it is only a male child who can own a portion of land. They used to say that the female or the girls can go and share on their husband's side, you know, because it is where, when they die, it is where they are buried, it is where they have their family, all that. Actually, up to date, they have not come to terms that even a female can have a property of land or anything and develop it. It is only the educated who have tried to have their properties there, to fight for their rights, and actually it even leads to conflict. In the issues where they have been asked to mediate or to handle, you find the brothers or the male children are not comfortable with sharing land with their sisters. So the whole issue becomes difficult. People fight and even kill each other. So I think and I feel that that kind of land system where we followed this example of the whites, where someone has to get the land, buy it with his own money, and he gets a land title in his own names, is really troublesome, and it is contributing to the problems that we have. Maybe like shedding a light, or maybe basing on what I've seen in the news, to make a conclusion on the other parts of the country, like where the community owns the land. You know, it also becomes a problem because, like, you see, these Vararo who went to northern Uganda, and the communities there say, this is our land. There's nowhere you can come and start doing your work. We don't know you. You don't belong to our communities. It's also dangerous because now, if I am from Western Uganda and legally I have got a portion of land from northern Uganda and I want to do my development, why shouldn't I do it? Why should I be stopped basing on my color, on my tribe? I think that would be unfair to stop me. And I have heard the politicians there, who are so much into this issue of the Balaro, using the fact of the ethnicity of where these people, the Balaro, come from. And this will escalate the issue. And if it is not handled well, people could fight and even lose their lives. So the communities, the places where the community own the land, they should also be sensitized that look, we own the land, but we also have our brothers in the other parts of the country who have bought properties, who have bought a portion of land, they have developed them, and those communities have not stood against them or chased them away because they belong to other tribes. So it shouldn't be like someone is coming from a place where we don't know. They have come to our place, and now they want to do what they are doing without our notice, without our permission, and therefore they must leave. There should be ways on how that should be handled.
Thank you very much, Sam, for highlighting, what you, in your opinion, you think the effects of our, land ownership system, whether communal, whether hereditary, whether the system where what would normally people call them freehold system. You buy as an individual and have all these titles in your names. And you've quite rightly noted, all of them, in a way, have their side effects and maybe the good side as well. And so thank you for sharing that and for highlighting that. And again, just to remind our audience and listeners, we are hosting Sam Orikunda, who is the Deputy RDC of Sheema, and we're also hosting Simon Okadapau, who is the Project Officer of CCG Mblae District. We are looking at a very pertinent issue today, and that is the issue of land conflict in Uganda. And we're wondering whether, many Ugandans are at the verge of losing their land. And so in this part of the topic that we're looking at today, we want to shift the gears and look at the issue of land grabbing. Recently we have seen comments from the Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda on the issue of what he feels, is escalating land conflict, land grabbing. I even read on Daily Monitor where he was stating that, talking to the president and told the president, the people that are grabbing this land are within, may not even be, entirely the barrio as people are putting them. It could be some of the government officials that are going to these places, and taking over this land for farming and other issues. So land grabbing has also been, been some of the major reasons causing land conflict in Uganda. And I'm going to welcome Simon to first give us the perspective from, from Eastern Uganda, Mblae in particular. And Simon, you could just come back and we start this conversation on the land grabbing from your area. What is causing land grabbing? Do you think that land grabbing is happening, entirely based on communities grabbing each other's land? Or do you think that, as many have been noting on social media, government officials, coming up to use their powers? Yes, well, I was saying now we're shifting our gears to look at the issue of land grabbing in Uganda. And then we wanted to hear the perspective from Eastern Uganda, where you've been operating under CCG, and what you think is common there. And I was just pointing out some factors that, one, do you really think that land grabbing is happening as a result of communities or people within communities going to another community and taking over their land, to use for either agriculture or other reasons, or the issue of government officials, like many have been noting on social media, and TVs, that some government officials are using their positions and money where they go buy land and displace people and evict people and all that. So many other factors, increased population, like we earlier noted. In your opinion, what do you think has been happening a lot in terms of land grabbing? What is causing it?
The issue of for the issue of Mblae and some parts of Eastern, the mode of land grabbing involves like I said before, some of the district officials who have a voice, who have an upper voice compared to the ones at lower communities, are the ones who grab land within the communities. And then also there are those top business people who have stayed within the city, and other areas that have made money, and they feel they have made a lot of money, so they take and they are known in the area. So they always use that power of money to influence land grabbing. You find that where they maybe they have list, somebody has a list, maybe there's a lease on land. They pay attention to ensure that immediately the lease expires, they go and renew when the current occupant has not yet renewed. So when the current occupant comes and finds, you will find that maybe that land has been taken over by another person. And then also, actually, even these government people, like the RDC, sorry to say, RDCs, you are here, but even your office is not doing enough.
I think I had not heard a couple of things that you had said, but that's okay. We had picked most of the parts of the things that you're saying, and basically you were talking about some of the district officials using their powers and influence to take land from communities, or when the lease expires, then they come and take over these properties and all that. And so thank you very much, Simon. I'm going to have Sam come back on board. And Sam, I want you to also share with us the experience from some of the districts where you've worked, and also maybe in Sheema, and again, as a government official, you know, as you've been following the stories on social media and on TVs, a lot of communities are actually pinning government officials and people with power, with money, as you know, that there have been some of the major reasons why land grabbing is increasing, because, you know, you have the money, you have the police, and you know, as you can understand, you have the army to some extent. So you can just go get land from anywhere and ask the people to leave, and then they become homeless, they're displaced and all that. So your question is two-part. One, for you to just highlight in your community where you're leading, where you're working as a government official, you know, has this been happening? Have you seen land grabbing increasing? And then or maybe you can comment on these allegations against the government officials. You know, if you think this is something that is true, this is something that is happening, or you would say, "I know it's a lie, government officials are not grabbing people's land and all that." So, Sam, you're welcome to make your comments on that.
Frank, first of all, it is not an allegation. This is something that is happening. In every case where you find people are being chased from the land, those people are involved. It is very true. And it actually becomes very difficult when you find you as a lower officer, you are handling a matter of where someone in higher hierarchy is involved. So it is true, it is happening, and sometimes with the aid of the police, they come and compromise them, and without your knowledge, I mean, even you find issues are escalating. So it is most of these issues. I don't think it is an allegation. It is happening, and we need a solution to it. You said what was the detail of the question?
The other question was now for you to share with our audience the experience within your communities where you've been working. Is this happening? How is the status of land grabbing? Because we had looked at land conflicts and we looked at several factors that cause land conflicts. Of course, land grabbing was among, but now we want to specifically talk about land grabbing. Is this something that is happening in your area? Is it increasing? Is it escalating? You know, so that is the other part that I wanted you to talk about.
Yes, it is increasing. It is increasing. Like I told you, in every district, at least in every district I've been to, there are many cases. Actually, in each day I reach office, I receive the most cases that I receive are mostly about land, not any other thing. Well, there could be other issues that comes, but those are few. But people throng office, coming to report cases of land. And these are cases which have been there. One officer came, handled the matter, but the matter was not concluded. Then you also come, then you also handle. It is something that is continuous. Actually, in a place like Chenjojo, where I was, you'd find a case which has been in office for like for several years. People take advantage of when the RDC is transferred and they had handled the issue. When a new one comes, then the person brings it back. There are some people who rent the land, and when they are powerful in the government, like you had said, someone has come, you've made an agreement of rent, not buying. But because the person knows that he's powerful, or he can lean somewhere, or you can use some money and take the entire property. Someone who came as they call them what? These people who rent. Someone who came to rent now wants to own, wants to delay his stay on the land and end up taking over the land. Even there are those who are neighbors. Like you have your land and you have a neighbor who has cows, but what they will do is just to let the cows into your gardens. You go to report to the police will just give you a deaf ear or just refuse to arrest the person. Now, as the person keeps doing that, you also get tired. Either sell to them or you just leave the land for them. So it is something that is shabby. It is something that is stressing our people. Most of the people are committing suicide. I can assure you, there are some people who have, lost hope. He has been disturbed on his piece of land, has tried everything possible, has not gotten justice. But the last option to do is to commit suicide, or to get a pang and cut a colleague or kill a colleague. So that's how bad the situation is, and this does not. Unfortunately, there's nowhere where you say that in this district where I am, there are no issues of land. Not at all. At least every district, those issues are there. People keep reporting from the LOCs to the office of the RDC, and I think even the office of the RDC has really tried to handle these matters. Had we not involved ourselves in these issues, I think it would be disastrous as of now. Because when you consider how the courts are handling the matter and how the office of the RDCs, of course, not all of the RDCs are good. There are those who even side with the land grabbers and they want to harass the communities. But in places where the RDC follows the truth and directs the police on what to do, some people have found justice. And that is why if you saw places like Chikube, I saw people taking they went to the office of the RDC and spent there like 2 months until they got a solution of their issue. It is, I think, as of today, it is the only office where the people think we can go get quick solution or get a solution that is going to favor us. Had those offices not been there, I don't know what would be happening. Because even the LOCs, you can imagine, an LOC, and there is an issue which I've been handling. An LOC 3 chairman knows the truth. Someone died, but an LOC 3 chairman kept the will of the person who had died for about 3 years. The person refused to release the will. Reason for that? Because he had interest in the property, and all the issues that have happened on that matter can be blamed on that person. So the leaders in the community who we thought that they would be helping us on solving those matters, instead they end up focusing on what they have gotten out of those issues. They will focus on getting the bribes out of it. And when people lack what to do, what else? They will just fight each other and kill each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Sam, for a very elaborate discussion on the status of land grabbing within your area and your communities. And I can clearly see that you've had a lot of experience in these areas and and handling these cases. And I think, like you really noted, we need to give credit where it's due. Honestly speaking, the RDCs, especially the ones who are good, have done a lot of important jobs in helping these communities in these areas. Because, like you noted, some of these don't even have money to afford lawyers to go to court, or they don't even know that they could actually go to court. And then there are some that, are losing hope in how long these cases take, the backlog and all that. And so many have resorted to working with the RDC officers to try to help their situations.
Frank, let me add this. Even on top of not knowing how what the law says about the land, these days courts is all about money. This someone is in the village somewhere far, and these courts are located in towns. Now the person must keep traveling from the deep down in the village to the courts to present his case. And sometimes you find when the magistrate or the judge has not come, and you have to go back. That kind of frustration. And as you come, you have to get yourself lunch, you have to get yourself transport to and fro, 1 month, 2 months, a whole year. So that kind of expenditure, it is what has frustrated our people, and they see that they can no longer get justice from where it is, but rather to look for quick solution for this matter.
And so I was just saying that we really want to commend, I want to commend some of the RDCs that are really doing a good job trying to help communities. I'm not siding with the land grabbers. So a few of you that are out there that are supporting these communities, our citizens, and helping them get justice, we want to say thank you. And of course, later on, we're going to look at some of the things that government and policymakers can do and communities can do and all that. But quickly, we have also been joined by Mr. Birende Jamir, who is a clerk in Masaka City Council, Kabonera. So I also want him to just introduce himself and just give us in a minute or two a quick highlight on issue of land grabbing and land conflict within Masaka City, but also in Uganda as a general, and then we can go to the other part of the conversation on way forward, what solutions we can do, what can our communities come and do, and all that. So, sir, you're welcome to introduce yourself and highlight the issue of land conflicts and land grabbing within Masaka, but also in Uganda as a region.
Yes, I salute all of you on this platform, especially those trying to discuss about the big issue of land grabbing. Yeah, like the host introduced me, I'm Jamir Birende, and I work with the Masaka City Council. Generally, about the topic, land grabbing is one of the major challenges that we are facing in Masaka and generally Uganda as a region. In Masaka, particularly, the voice has not eaten up so much, but because the media covered there was some land that belonged to Masaka State Council, I can't fail to highlight. There is some children's park that belonged to Masaka Municipal Council. But then, after some time, there were some alleged persons who intended to take the land. Fortunately, the leadership here, the members of parliament, and even the council leaders were sharp enough that intervened, and much as the issue is still in court, but chances are high that the land title was seen. Much as there were symptoms of the land title getting tampered with, but I mean the original land title was finally gotten. Then in other regions, in other areas or districts of Uganda, generally the problem is big because we've seen people going homeless as a result of you know, the greediness of some of the Ugandans and generally people, because not that, you know, not all land that is grabbed by Ugandans, no. Even those foreigners who have come, and because they have money. But why I guess in Masaka it is, I mean in Uganda generally it's rampant, because we all know that this is the center of development, and so all those intending to do a business or things of the like, of course, would prefer having it here, and I think that is why it is more in central. And the other thing that I think is the reason as to why it is rampant here is it is only around, I think, in central, where people have gotten unhealthy wealth. People get a lot of money, whose sources is not known, or whose sources are not known, and so they opt to grab everything. The other very important thing is, as Africans, we have actually failed to appreciate the idea of making wills, because you realize most of the issues, land conflicts that I and a few, in fact, particularly the ones that have been engaged in or have tried to solve, you realize it is as a result of failure to locate where the will was put, or whether the deceased did not actually make a single will. That's a very, very big challenge. And you know, in the absence of a will, definitely administrators are hardly there to oversee the property, and that's the land grabbers take advantage of that. But going forward, a lot has to be done by government, even in our laws alone. Even the laws also have some loopholes within. And I guess,
Mr. Birende, we're going to get to that part where we highlight some of the solutions, whether policy, whether community, and all that. So for now, it is good you've given us the submission and the status of land grabbing or land conflict in Masaka and Buganda as a region. I think you rightly noted that for Buganda, why it is very rampant is that this is a central business where everybody from either out of Uganda or even different regions of Uganda want to make sure that they come here and do businesses. So thank you for highlighting and sharing with us on that. I'm going to welcome Simon back and Sam to answer this question, just to, and in like a minute. I think even Mr. Birende will come, but just in a minute. I want to know, and I'm starting from Simon, I want to know if you guys have handled any land conflicts or land grabbing issues successfully, and the land got restored to the communities or to the individuals that, you know, were grabbed from. And so Simon, as Sam and Birende also prepares, could you just highlight, you know, in a minute, any success stories? Because we understand that efforts have been made, and people are working, the RDCs, the local communities, the courts, the district leaders, you know, even at national level. So we don't want to sit and make it seem like there has not been any success stories or any good things happening. So Simon, share with us any success stories in Mblae, you know, where you've handled, you know, these land conflicts or land grabbing issues successfully.
Yeah, well, now the issue of land is a very, very complex issue that cannot be solved overnight. But as an organization, we have really contributed tremendously towards resolving some key issues, rather key conflicts, land conflicts within communities. There are those that we have really actually we engaged, especially at the family levels. These conflicts where that happen within. families. Those ones we have been able to resolve some at family levels, and then also there are those that are still at court, and we have been involved in mediation between the parties. So, and like I said, land matters are very complex. They are not issues that you can just wake up one morning, you see it, and then solve immediately. There are those we have solved, yes, and then there are those that we are still engaging the parties. An issue, a complaint of whereby the land that belongs to people with disabilities was grabbed within the city, and I mean by the city, and we petitioned the office of the mayor and the DPC. So they promised they have taken over, and we always have those kind of discussions, trying to really bring to see to it that the land that belongs to the people with disabilities comes back to them. Yeah, so it's a continuous process, reconciliation, mediation.
All right. Thank you, Simon. Sam, do you have any circumstance where you've worked with the communities and handled a particular conflict or land grabbing issue that you can share with us?
There are many. There are so many. Only that, of course, I can't remember all of them, but maybe I will tell you like about two. There's one which I had even tried to tell you about, which we solved recently, about a family of a man, unfortunately, who died, but he had two wives, and the second wife, who had the favor of the husband, wanted to take advantage of that favor, and take over the entire piece of land. But we sat with them, sat with the family, and with the locals. They told us the stories of what the will was, because we realized the will had been hidden, but we tried to look for it and interpreted it, and gave each family, each household their share. So that was a successful story. There is also one which I solved in my first district, where I found a man had married a wife, then they got issues, and then he got another wife, and then he took over the property of the first wife, and even successfully chased her. She started staying in town on a rented house. But when we went there, we called him. The community was still remembering where her house was and which property she was owning. Even the property she had bought as an individual had been taken over by the husband. When we tried to mediate them, the husband couldn't accept to leave the land for that wife. But we successfully took the matter to the chief magistrate, and though it took time, because it took about 2 years, and I am told recently the judgment was read, and that woman was given her piece of land, and she was calling, appreciating our effort. So there are many. Like I told you, every time you reach office, about 10, the 10 cases you receive, 8 of them are about land. And there are those who you sit with, you discuss with them, you advise them, and you see them willingly to cooperate and solve their issues. But there are those who we send to court, because even when, like I told you, that the RDCs are doing a good job, they are doing a good job, but the law does not allow you to conclude in some matters and say, accordingly to what I see, this person is the owner of land. No, the law doesn't allow you to do that. The law, what you can only do is the matter can only be solved if the two parties are willing to agree. In instances where they fail to agree, it is only the court which will decide and say, accordingly, land belongs to this one. But if the office of the RDC has the powers to decide and say that, and I can assure you, Frank, most of the RDCs have been taken to court. You go, you enter into a land matter, you are favoring the locals or the underprivileged, the vulnerable, the orphans or the widows. And what the other powerful person will do is to take you to court. And when you go to court, sometimes they take you as an individual and you struggle alone. Oh, there are those like there are those who will even use your supervisors, your superiors. They have the money, they have the influence. They will not even negotiate with you. What they will do is just to call your boss and they tell them a number of things, and it takes you time to explain yourself. Or if you are unable to explain and satisfy them, you may even lose your job. That's how difficult it has been. And those land grabbers have, I mean, they make sure they use any available opportunity to close the gaps and grab people's land. But we try where we can, and the people are willing to agree and work together and solve their issues. You find you have solved an issue and people come to appreciate, to say that if it was not you, our family would not have had any could have not had peace, and we would be fighting. So there are those we surely solve.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Sam. And I think in some of the conversations you've highlighted is that it's also very difficult to fight land grabbing, because people that do land grabbing are connected. They have the money and they know who to talk to. And I've realized that many government officials, that the good heart ones, the ones that are willing to stand with communities, are also at a very high risk of either losing their jobs, or some of them I have seen circumstances where some people have been transferred. Some RDCs, you find the person, all of a sudden is transferred to another district. And when you follow up the story, you know that someone was fighting someone that is in a high authority. So it's very challenging in some circumstances to be a good leader, and fighting some of these land grabbers because of the links and connections that they have. And again, that gets back to us as a country, that do we have the will? Do we want to have, whether the political will or whether the community will or whether the legal will, to make sure that we fight the issue of land grabbing and actually bring it to an end and solve the issue of land conflict? Anyway, that's a conversation that as an entire country we're going to continue having until we reach a point where we find a permanent solution. As we come to a conclusion, we are just going to highlight a few things and end. And one, I'm going to welcome Jamir to highlight some of the way forward in terms of policy, whether at a national level, at a district level. Are there certain policies or laws that you recommend as someone that is working with City Council that you think, we need to do, or we need to work on as a country to try to solve the issue of land grabbing and land conflicts in Uganda?
Generally, as a country, we need some land reforms as a country, because they are like I stated in the beginning, that our laws are somehow lacking, and there are loopholes within them. For example, we have to come out very clearly on the management of the customary or my land, actually our land systems as per the laws of Uganda. We have to come out very clear. And of course, in there, there are also intricacies that we need to look at. For example, the issue of usuru. That is that the tenant, this money that the tenants are supposed to subscribe or to give the landlord. The law is very interesting. Understand, once you take a specified period of time without subscribing, irrespective of the developments that you have made on that particular land, it gives the right, the ultimate right to the owner, the landlord in this case, to grab to take your land. Okay, it is their land, true, but I mean, if I have invested on that land and the value of the development of the investment is more or less higher actually than the owner of the land. I mean, why should the landlord raise up one day and say, I'm taking my land? And deliberately, some of these landlords actually refuse to get the tenants usuru with an intention of perhaps trying to re-own the land. Because we've gotten cases and complaints, especially in local governments, where the tenants are willing to pay, but I mean, the law gives you an alternative that in case the landlord does not accept, you have an option of taking the local council. You pay to local government. But then currently, in the current situation of city, all state councils that were newly created, you realize the law talks of local council 3 at sub-county. Now, for those in the city, you're not a local council 3, but then the law is silent about you taking making that money or banking that money with the division. The law is silent. So local governments are actually currently, for example, in my ward in Kenya, want to pay their landlords who have deliberately refused. But what we have done, we encourage them to write to the town clerk, and perhaps in case such an issue raises up of landowner wanting to grab the land from the tenants, we are secured. But I mean, something has to be done about the law. And then also the leadership, civil society organizations, we have to encourage our people to make wills. I mean, the idea of making wills has to be appreciated and embraced. People think when you make a will, you're bound to die, forgetting the other good side of the will. Because, like I said, most of the cases that I have handled as a secretary of the LOC2, realize it has been as a result of, lack of wills by the deceased. So we have to encourage our people to appreciate and embrace the idea of making wills. And then the other thing that is very important beyond policy is people should remember that, amidst whatever we do, God is there, and we ought not to get to grab things that don't actually belong to us. We should come back to God, because that's why we are here. We should not forget. I want to submit.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jamir. Thank you for your submission, and thank you for reminding people to also not forget God as they grab people's land. You talked about policy reforms, especially in the Buganda region, on issue of Busuru, where the tenants have to pay some money to the landlords, who sometimes deliberately want to dodge these systems so that they can get back the land. And you've also highlighted how the local governments in some areas are using this as a way of getting the land back from the tenants. Very important. So again, we want to say that there's a lot of myth, like you noted, about writing a will from communities and all that. And I'm glad you've encouraged people to, as a way of reducing conflicts and grabbing when they are dead, to write these wills and leave it with, you can leave it with a mosque, you can leave it with a church, you can leave it with a trusted friend, and all that. And so I think, and again, like you said, civil society organizations have a very big role to play in these areas on, educating people, sensitizing them, and letting them know, how to write these wills and where they can leave it, and the processes that are involved. And again, we're gearing towards the conclusion. Those were the way forwards from Jamir, and he works with Masaka City Council. I want to bring Simon back and then conclude with Sam. Simon, I want you to highlight some of the things that you think communities, have to do to solve the issue of land conflicts and reduce land grabbing in your region and even in Uganda as a whole, And then you can also highlight on some of the key roles that civil society organizations can play along with communities in making sure that this issue is addressed. So Simon, you're welcome to highlight what can communities do. This is a very important part because communities are the most affected and we need to work together with them and find solutions. What must they do to address these issues?
Yeah, like one of the key issues already the community can do, it has already been highlighted by Jamir. We need really to encourage the practice of writing wills. That one actually, if there's a will, it becomes really simple. It facilitates in allocating property to the beneficiaries. Otherwise, if there is no will, it really becomes so hard. And then also, like we need to encourage dialogue within communities. Those, especially maybe at family levels, if there is a family that has a land conflict within at family level, there should be the local leadership, especially the council too, the council, the office of the LOC too, has to come in, and then also the clan has to. There's a clan committee. Every clan has a committee that in charge of settling land disputes within the clan. So at clan level, the clan leaders, especially that clan committee, has to take the charge of solving land matters. And then also when it comes to the upper levels, of course, there's an office of RDC. They're also doing a tremendous job in ensuring that land conflicts are being resolved. There's also courts of law. Then there's also a police department. We need to really work collectively if we need to see that land matters are solved at community level and then also higher levels. Thank you.
Thank you very much, thank you very much, Simon, for highlighting some of the things that you think communities can do, writing wills, encouraging dialogue and a collective work, both from district level, community levels to ensure that these issues are addressed. Sam, I want to welcome you back, Sam, to throw some comments and especially focus on areas of, government, political will, parliament, executives, and well, of course, the executive extends to your team, the RDC people and other local leaders. What must government do? What is lacking? And what should we really do from the areas of, I know there's a lot of conversation about lack of political will to resolve land issues. Many of these people have blamed the executive and said if they really wanted to solve this, they would just wake up and do it in a blink of an eye, because maybe many of the top government officials are the ones that are promoting this. And so there's a lot of conversation around there. And I want you, Sam, to highlight, what do you think government can do? Practical solutions. There's been a lot of conversations about reforms, policy, what, and all this. But at the same time, a lot of government people have been pinned, the executive especially, where the police and the army falls under. They've been pinned a lot, you guys. So we want to hear from you. What do you think you guys can do? Practical solutions from your side.
Thank you so much. First of all, may I think that these cases that delay in court have really, really escalated things. There should be either, I don't know, there was a time when there was a land, the one which was led by, there was one time when they put a commission on land inquiries.
You mean the one by Bagamirere?
Yes, and a
that's
number of issues were solved, though the report, though some of them were, of course, have never been solved up to now. I think there should be there should be a way how the judiciary should handle these cases of land which have delayed in their in the courts. Why should the case be in court for 11 years and more, 10 years and more, 5 years and more? People still come to court. Why? What's the problem? Why do they focus on the issues that have no impact on the growth of the community, the development of the community, and leave these other issues which are very much important? So I think we need to do something on that. Then we should also train these other people. You see, though the RDCs are doing a good job, but most of them are not even trained on how to handle these land matters. And I think if they could be trained and given taught on how to handle these matters well, and given power to even make decisions on those matters, and also maybe given an immunity, it also scares some of the officers if you know that you will make a decision and the next day you'll be taken to court as an individual. So if they would be given an immunity and be given after being trained, given all the tools they need to solve these land matters, then I think they would do a good job. The other people to train are the LOCs. The LOC2 court is specifically a court for the land matters. These ones also need training and they need to be taught how to be neutral. Most of the issues we have had in the communities there about land is that you find when the chairman LOC1 or LOC2 or LOC3 is siding with someone, two conflicting parties, they are fighting over a piece of land, and the chairman LOC decides to side with one party. And the chairman LOC is the one who appoints the chairman of the court. I mean, the whole thing gets funny. So the other one will get instruction from the chairman, and sometimes you even find them following politics. The other one did not support me. Now he has issues, and I'm going to show him how he fought me. I'm going to pay back. And that is how the issues have escalated. So I feel these people who are involved in fighting the problems that we have in the land should be trained, retooled, and given everything that they need. And the ones who have no powers and they are who have no much powers and they are doing a good job, then they should be given those powers. And again, the police and the army should withdraw immediately from these land cases. There is no way. And there is this issue which is in the constitution called I'm forgetting the words they use. Someone has entered your land and illegally. I don't know which word. It has skipped my mind. So that issue. Trespass, exactly. It's called trespass. There is a way the police wants to usually use that thing of trespass, and then they criminalize before they even see it and listen to all the people. They make the whole thing criminal. Now they will arrest the other party, and the next thing to do is murder. So I think the army and the police should honestly leave these issues of land. They should leave these issues unless when there is a court judgment, when there is a court order pertaining on what to do, then they can be involved as the enforcement, as the enforcers of the law. But when the court has not pronounced itself on some matters, then the police should not surely be involved. But of course, there are some land matters where you find that they are criminal part of the matter. Like, for instance, another person, someone went and attacked the other one, or beat him, or beat them up, or removed the boundaries forcefully. Maybe those ones they can be involved. But this kind of, shielding the land grabbers. You as police, you are aware someone has no genuine papers, has no genuine ownership of the land, but you go ahead and give them security. What do you think the other party will do? The other ones who cannot access you, the other ones who fears police, the other ones who fear the office of the RDC and fear court. What will they do? They will get desperate and end up making funny decisions. So may I feel everyone, I mean, there are a lot of things that we need to change. There are a lot of things that we need to do for us to solve this issue of land grabbing, land conflict that has taken over the community, that has ended people's lives. Most murders that we have in the country, the biggest contribution is the land conflict and even the domestic violence. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Sam, for highlighting some of the solutions and way forward. You know, you talked about courts speeding up their processes so that land issue can be resolved faster and people don't have to take the laws in their hands and do things like mob justice, murder, and all that. We've also talked about training RDCs and the local council leaders. And I think you're very right about this area, because whether we want it or not, the reality is that RDCs and the local council leaders are actually handling land issues. And so it is very important for these people to be trained on some of the laws and pertaining land and land rights, and even conflict resolving, you know, mechanisms and techniques. All these are very important because these are the people in the grounds in these communities. These are the people that interface with these people every day. The other people that are very well educated and expert in land issues, like the lawyers, like the courts, quite often they're in far places and they're not easily accessible. So the communities, community leaders, the RDCs, the local leaders and all that are very key in resolving this issue. So I agree with you on that. And I think you also said that people are going to need support. You know, people are going to need support. Some of the local leaders that are working hard, like the RDCs, you know, people fear to be sued after or even to lose their jobs. So people need the confidence and the backing of the government and the executive, and letting them know that we're with you, we're standing with you, and whatever actions you're taking, we got you, we have your back. So those things are very important in making sure that leaders pursue land grabbers and make sure that they work to resolve land conflicts. So in a way, we have come to the end of our discussion, and we're just going to give 30 seconds to each speaker to just tell us that, any one last thing they want to say that they think is very important. Normally we call them parting shots, so let me start with Simon. Simon, anything that, in 30 seconds that you want to tell our listeners, you want to tell the policymakers and the communities?
Well, thank you for giving us this opportunity to air out our views in respect to land conflicts in communities. I call upon us to work collectively to ensure that these land conflicts are mitigated. Also, we also need policymakers come up with new policies, because the ones that are in place, I think, are not stringent enough. And also, even the ones that are in place, let's implement so that we can able to mitigate land matters in communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Just stay on before you leave. Thank you. Jamir, Birende, your parting shots in 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for hosting us. My shot would be on. I request all of us as Ugandans, as people, to remember that, at the end of it all, we must go back to God, to the Creator. And the Islamic teachings are fun, and even when you have a lot of wealth, chunk wealth, you will only be given a few inches of what you have, as in where you'll be buried. So we should always be mindful that God is in control, and also all of us need to be happy. All of us need to live happily. So the idea of I don't know what I can use, but the idea of making our colleagues cry over such things is not good. And I request that
Thank you.
we all get back to God. We prepare for the judgment day, because all those things will come up, and we shall have no questions, and I mean answers to some questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Birende Jamir, who has, implored us to go back to God, the creator. And the land grabbers is telling you that you are not going to go with this land to heaven, just a small piece where they will bury you. So very, very serious, warning from Jamir. Let me just welcome Sam in 30 seconds as well to give us his concluding remarks, and then we shall conclude. Sam.
Thank you so much for hosting us, and this has been a very good show. I just want to implore everyone to give their attention to this issue of land conflicts in the country. It is something that we must all interest ourselves, because now it is affecting us all. People will never develop when they are fighting. There is no one who will have time to go to the garden, to go to the market and make money if they are fighting or if they are conflicting with each other. So we must we must put attention to this issue, do what we are supposed to do to make sure that if we cannot solve it completely, but we can, I feel we can reduce it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Sam, for your concluding remarks. At least let's work together. Let's give this attention. If there are less conflicts, then we can focus on developing Uganda and developing our communities. And again, to our listeners, ladies and gentlemen, we were hosting Mr. Sam Orikunda, who is the Deputy RDC Sheema District. We also hosted Simon Okadapau, who is the Project Officer of CCG Mblae District, and we hosted Mr. Birende Jamir, who works with Masaka City Council. Tonight, we were looking at a very important topic, and that is the issue of land conflicts in Uganda, and whether many Ugandans are at the verge of losing their land to land grabbing and the increase of land conflicts. We had very important conversation. We looked at, the overview, the status. We looked at what is causing this, the factors, and so many other things. And of course, our very able speakers gave us different way forward and solutions that we can come together as a community, as a government, and work out and try to resolve the issue of land conflicts and reduce land grabbing in Uganda. We want to thank you for listening, and want to thank CCG, Center for Constitutional Governance, for giving our communities, our people, our citizens this platform to air out their views and to have conversations that are important to them. So yes, so we've come to the end of our hosting, and I believe we're at liberty to leave. Thank you, our speakers. Thank you, the panelists, for a very good discussion. You guys were very knowledgeable, and we look forward to hosting you again in other topics that are very important to us as a country and as a community. I remain your host, Mr. Frank Uche. Have a good day.